It's top of the hour, and it's time for Making a Difference. I am your host, CJ Metcalfe. On this show, we like to bring to you people in the community that are making a difference in other people's lives. And I would like to mention that our show is sponsored by the Gulf Theater at the Military Heritage Museum. You can see their lineup of shows by going to gulftheater.org. I know that Friday night they had ABBA, the tribute to ABBA there, and the first show sold out. That theater seats 248 people, and so they had to have a second show, and it was sold out. So the theater is very popular. Their shows are great, and you can go on to the website and you can see what seats are available and pick your seat. So I would encourage you to do so. Thank you, Military Heritage Museum, for sponsoring my show. I greatly appreciate it. Today, we're going to talk about March 29th of this year. March 29th each year is a day that the Department of Defense set aside and recognized as the last day that troops were pulled out of the Vietnam War. So, therefore, it has been signed by Congress that this is National Vietnam War Veterans Day. And the Department of Defense developed a program called the Commemorative Partners. It's the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War Commemorative Partners Program. You got to try to say that real fast. Um, but this is a program that is set up so that different organizations around the country on March 29th can give honor and tribute to those Vietnam veterans. As many of you will recall, when they were coming back home in the 60s and 70s, they didn't get a very nice welcome at all. These these men and women that went over and that were drafted to go over and to fight communism, and they did it to help protect our country from the spread of communism. How else can they go about that unless they stop it in its tracks? And the North Vietnamese were bound and determined to take over the quiet South Vietnamese, and the South Vietnamese needed help. And so they called upon allies to come and help them fight off the communists. And thus the Vietnam War came about. It wasn't a popular war simply because many people thought that that was something we shouldn't be involved in. But you can go to say that may apply to today with Russia and Ukraine. I mean, it is communism, and unless it's stopped in its tracks, they will become more and more and more powerful. So please understand that these veterans that fought during that war, they went there, they did their job, they did what their country asked of them. And whether they liked what they were doing or not, it doesn't matter. They were doing a job to help protect our freedom and liberties, that we can enjoy the life that we live in the United States today. So it is a privilege to be able on March 29th to honor and give tribute to those Vietnam veterans. On March 29th of this year, the Military Heritage Museum is sponsoring a Vietnam Veterans Welcome Home event. This event will run between 10 and 4 p.m. And I'd like to talk to you about it because there's a lot of things going on, and rather you are a Vietnam veteran, rather you had a relative that was a Vietnam veteran, or perhaps you're the spouse of a veteran, everyone is welcome to this event to be given honor and tribute to. The Vietnam veterans, they will get a free admission to all of the galleries and the simulators and everything. They'll have full access to the museum. And to honor them with their family and guests that may be coming with them, the museum is offering guests a discount of just $10 each. So there's many things to do in the museum. You can see the galleries. You can go into the um, Hall of Heroes, which they have all the medals and precious metals and the Medal of Honor in there. We have an actual one on display. You can go upstairs to the virtual reality room. You can fly in the simulators. You can visit the library. And then ultimately, there'll be a show in the Gulf Theater. But the events for that day, from 10 until 1, that's pretty much going to be an outside event where we're going to have wonderful music by local artists from Songwriters Island. That's artists that many of them have written their own music and written their own words. So they'll be playing a nice selection outdoors there in front of the museum. We're going to have a motorcycle show, and that's being headed up by the Patriot Riders. And then over in a grassy area, we're going to have a vintage car show. And while it says VMCCA, which is the Veteran Vintage Motor Car Club of America, there are some newer cars that are coming into that show for your viewing pleasure. So you'll be able to walk around and see some oldies and goodies. And I hope that there's a lot of cars from the 60s just for those Vietnam veterans that remember the day of old when that was the car of the day. The Huey helicopter that is sitting there, the donor of that helicopter offers cockpit tours where he talks about all the equipment and how all the controls and everything work in the Huey helicopter. So you can get a wonderful informative moment with him on that. And then the Calendar Girls of Southwest Florida, they are going to be performing. They will perform for half an hour. And I'd like to give a little heads up to the Calendar Girls because they are a senior dance troupe and they dance for charity. They pick different charities and they perform and do different numbers to raise money for the charity of their choice at that time. And I will say that most of the time they are dancing for the Southeastern Guide Dogs. And these are guide dogs that are trained and given to the blind, people with disabilities. I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful organization, and I thank the Calendar Girls for um, doing that. And then they'll have outside. There's a food truck. Baylor's Southern Food is going to be fixing lunch, and you can buy lunch and eat outside on the tables while you listen to the music. Soda and water will be available for purchase at a pretty cheap price. And then they're also having a drawing where you can purchase tickets for $5. And it's kind of a Chinese auction type drawing where there's going to be gift baskets and some trips and things like that, where you can take your ticket and put it in your favorite one that you're hoping to win. And that's only until 1 o'clock. And then everybody's going to move into the Gulf Theater where the activities will begin. We're going to have the fire and police department as the honor guards, and I of Punta Gorda, and I'm pretty excited about that because they're an awesome group and very attentive and very proud. to bring in the flags. I'm happy for them. Guns and Hoses, which is a bagpipe organization out of Fort Myers. They are retired fire department, police, EMTs, military personnel that have gotten together and formed this band. The actual name of it is Guns and Hoses, Pipes and Drums. But they will be accompanying different speakers and moments of silence and things like that in the Gulf Theater. So uh, if anybody is like me and enjoys the sound of a good bagpipe, this will be a chance for you to hear them. There's even one part in there where they're going to have the whole band up there to play a few numbers for everybody's listening pleasure. We'll do the drawings in the theater, and then we're going to present trophies for the car show and the motorcycle show. And they, since this event is not a sanctioned event, it's not a formal event, car show or motorcycle show by any organization, it's just the museum doing it. We can have a little fun with our trophies. And so the all displays, both cars and motorcycles, are required to have a military themed display with their either automobile or motorcycle. Now, there's no limitations, there's no restrictions. So it ought to be kind of interesting what some of these people come up with. So the first trophy will be the best display. The people's choice really is what that one is going to be about. And then the second one, the second place, if you want to call it second place trophy, will be titled Most Want to Ride On. So if they want to ride in the car or if it's a motorcycle, they'll be picking them from each group as to most want to ride in or on. So, you've seen things go down the road and you think, man, I'd really like to have a ride in that. Well, whoever wins that trophy, that's the People's Choice Trophy. And then third, but by all means not last, but maybe it is the best hard luck. The best hard luck trophy. In other words, oh boy, you know, it's the effort, not the beauty, that'll count on this one. So, but all winners must have the military themed display in order to qualify to be judged. So this ought to be pretty entertaining. And then we have the mayor of Punta Gorda will be there. She is going to present Gary Butler, who's the executive director of the Military Museum, with a proclamation. The museum went to the city and obtained a proclamation for this day for March 29th, announcing that they recognize it as Vietnam Veteran Day. And then Congressman Stubbe's office, he himself has made a video and has sent it to us, speaking directly to the Vietnam veterans. Very heartfelt speech that he gives. It's not really a speech, it's 2 minutes and 45 seconds long. But when you see it, you can hear how he is very sincere about the veterans. And Congressman Stubbe himself is a veteran. So he, something I'd like to say extra about him is, since he is a veteran, he wants to be able to work with veterans and know what they're going through. So Congressman Stubbe, for medical purposes, he goes through the VA. He doesn't have any private or outside insurance. He uses the VA in order to be able to experience some of the problems that the veterans run into in getting medical care. So I give him a thumbs up on that. But his constituent representative, Darla, will be speaking there in the theater. that afternoon, and she will have an information table out there where you can come, and if you're having trouble with getting records or ribbons or maybe the medical care or any other issues that pertain to the congressman that maybe she could help you with, she will be there to show you how to go about this. There's a form that you have to fill out. It's a privacy release form, and that enables their office to work on your behalf. So, and then after her will be the Florida Department of Veteran Affairs and Mr. Don Anderson. And he is a senior claims examiner, and he has offices in Port Charlotte and at the Jacobson Nursing Home. And there's one other place, I forget where that is, but you can make arrangements to go see him and sit down and talk to him about filing benefits, filing benefit claims. He can explain all of that to you. He can answer questions about spouses and spousal benefits. So it should be very informative speech. And he too will have a table there right outside the theater where people can come up and talk to him and ask him questions and see if their pertinent problem or issue is something that he could help them with. And then we've got Daughters of the American Revolution and Sons of the American Revolution. They are going to speak on what they're about, and they're also abbreviated DAR and SAR. And these are people who have lineage, direct heritage to soldiers that were in the Revolutionary War that formed this country. And they're pretty much a patriot group. They do many things actively as an organization, and they will be explaining what they do. They can help you with genealogy. If you have a feeling that you're related to a revolutionary soldier or before, there's the colonial group also that were here prior to the Revolutionary War, and but they can assist you in looking into your genealogy the proper way and the documentation that is required. And let me tell you, it's a lot. But I do want to say that Daughters of the American Revolution, their genealogy records are the most widely there it goes again. Widely accepted documents because everyone knows how strict DAR is. And, they just don't take the little green leaves off of Ancestry. You have to have actual documentation, whether it's going back looking at birth records, marriage records, even probation, I mean, what probate, land documents. They go that far in depth in hunting into the genealogy to find out who's related to who and how. So, but they too will, both DAR and SAR will be having a table there outside the theater to answer any questions that you may have. And then also the U.S. Coast Guard Flotilla 98 Auxiliary, they have recently moved into the museum. They moved their offices in there, and they have their ambulance out front, out on the side yard by the Huey helicopter. And then they're supposed to have their ready boat. It's a big boat. It's beautiful. Have it out there, but I think it's in the shop right now. But they're going to talk to you about what they do and what they can offer as well. They're going to speak. And one of the things that impressed me the most is the courses that they teach and offer and they do it there at the museum. You can get navigational courses, and they teach you how to navigate. They do boater safety. They courses they do boater safety inspections. Whereas if you got to have your boat, you want to have it inspected to make sure that it's up to snuff with all the current requirements, they do that as well. So there's so much more that they do, and much of it that I'm not really that familiar with, but I know enough to be dangerous about it and to mention it to you. But this is all that's packed into that afternoon of March 29th at the museum. And for those of you that don't know, the museum is located in Punta Gorda at 900 West Marion Avenue. It is just kind of catty corner from Fisherman's Village. So if that gives you a kind of a landmark to go by, that's where they're located. So mark it down, March 29th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now, just for my listeners, for those of you watching the video, there's a picture of the front of the museum, so you can see it's right there on the water. It's a beautiful, beautiful building, 17,000 square feet worth. But for those of you listening or watching, I want to tell you a little bit of a secret about March 29th. Get there early. Parking is always an issue when we have big events at the museum. We apologize for that. We're aware of it, trying to work around that. But there is parking behind the museum and to the west of the museum. There's an empty lot there. But for those of you that want to do the simulators, the flight simulators, they're on 20-minute time intervals. We have 4 of them. And get there when the doors open at 10 and get signed up. And that way you'll be first in line and you can zip right in there and do them. Those things are amazing. The Thunderbirds train on those. So if that tells you anything about them. I want to mention Bob Evans is supporting this event. You can go to my Facebook page, which is Making a Difference, and print off this coupon. And if you eat there and you turn this coupon in, Bob Evans is going to donate 15% towards this activity. So towards the Veterans Day. So do that. Go eat at Bob's. I'll see you all next week. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.